The Opinion with Michael J. Today we're going to talk about cryptocurrency and corruption and how it's being legitimized by the United States government under the supervision of Donald John Trump. DJT, Donald John Trump. Now we're going to go to Heather Cox. She's a historian of note, smart gal. So we're going to go straight to her right now.
One of the things that I think is extremely hard to understand, I think we understand the normal kinds of corruption we see around us in different administrations, and certainly in the Trump administration. Trump is actually literally selling access to himself for $5 million a pop. If you want to come in a group of 20, it's only $1 million a person, which is just mind-boggling. But I think what people have a hard time grasping is cryptocurrency and what cryptocurrency is and how it fits in all this. Now, I am not an expert in cryptocurrency, so I'm going to give you the overview of what cryptocurrency looks like without delving into all the many different permutations of it. The place to start, weirdly, is with the idea of what money is. Actually, all money is an agreement among people that they consider something of value. And a state that is a government has said, okay, we're going to agree that's a unit of value, and we're going to put our weight behind that unit of value. And that's a bit of a simplified version of what currency is. But I want to get away from the idea that something that doesn't exist couldn't be currency, because it could be if we agreed for it to be. And that's somewhat important to remember when you think about cryptocurrency. All right. Except currencies are established by states. They're overseen by, and I don't mean the US states. We had that system before the Civil War, but I mean national governments, the countries. So currencies are established by countries, which means that they operate under the law. They are overseen. You can't cheat with them. I mean, people do, but there's laws about not doing that. And there's an international system of currencies that oversees the way they operate so that people can't launder money, for example. Again, they do, but there are laws against that. So with luck, we catch them when they do that. Cryptocurrency is not a state-backed currency. And states currently do not, most of them, there's a few that do. Most of them do not consider it a currency. They consider it an asset so that you can invest in it, you can own it, but it doesn't have the backing of anything. So it can rise and fall just like a Beanie Baby or like a Smurf doll, or like gold. It can go up or it can go down, but it is not tied to anything. All right. So the reason I'm pointing to that now is that the Trump administration is using cryptocurrency in what certainly appear from the outside to be extraordinarily corrupt ways. So you need to understand that the Trump organization owns the majority of a company called World Liberty Financial. World Liberty Financial has its own cryptocurrency, which is shown by a $sign and the letters WLFI, World Liberty Financial International, I think is what it stands for, WLF.
No, World Liberty Financial Incorporation. That's what it should be.
And you can invest in that. And the profits from that investment go, a lot of them go to the Trump family organization. People who want, especially from foreign countries, who want to ingratiate themselves with Trump, have been investing in that currency, in the WLFI currency, including pretty dramatically a man named Justin Sun, who's a Chinese national who was in trouble with the SEC. He put $75 million into their coin, and then he asked for Trump to help him get the SEC to put off his troubles with them because of money laundering, and in fact that case did get paused, and now he's negotiating a settlement. But it's not just that. I hope this helps. For me, the cryptocurrency stuff is really hard to untangle, but that's not it. World Liberty Financial has its own coin, but it's also got another one that's called it's called a stable coin. And stable coins are called that because they are pegged to a currency. So stablecoin is pinned to the US dollar, and that should mean that it's more stable than something else, which can go up and down, as I say, like a Beanie Baby. And people made a ton of money on Beanie Babies, right, when they were really valuable, but then a lot of people invested and they ended up being worth nothing except their cute little Beanie Babies. And they lost their shirts. And the same thing happens with normal cryptocurrency. It doesn't happen as much with stable currencies, stable coins, although it can. They have another stable coin, the WLF does, and that is called USD1. And USD1, $USD1. USD1 is a stable coin that is part of World Liberty Financial. Now, last week, an investment company that is backed by the government of United Arab Emirates put $2 billion into that stable coin.
Yeah, it was an investment arm of Abu Dhabi.
As it was completing a deal with a different cryptocurrency exchange called Binance. Why does that matter? It matters because the way you make money, if you have a stable coin, because you're not playing with the market the way you can with another coin, the way you make money is you take that money and you invest in it, and whoever owns the stable coin gets the investment money. So by investing $2 billion, it appears as though the government of the UAE, or this investment company backed by them, has just essentially given this company that the Trump organization has the majority of $2 billion to play the market with and keep whatever they make. I suppose they could also lose their shirts, but it certainly looks as if this is an attempt to put significant money from the government of the UAE into the...
Yeah, but here's the thing, and this is what people don't understand. This World Liberty Financial Incorporated Bitcoin is... advertised as a stable way of investing, fight for freedom, fight for changing the economic system. Meanwhile, it's owned 60% by the Trump family. Also, the Trump family can grab 75% of every dollar after expenses to the corporation. So, it's a grift of grifts, the highest magnitude of grifts.
The pockets of the Trump organization. There is also another cryptocurrency coin that matters for the Trump administration, and that's that Trump, you may remember, on January 17th, 3 days before he took office, launched his own meme coin. Now, a meme coin, there's a bunch of different kinds of coins, and a meme coin is one based on an internet meme. And it goes up and down, again, like a Beanie Baby. And that, once he announced it, lots and lots of people invested in it, but it lost about 88% of its value within a couple of months. And when that happened a few weeks ago, Trump announced that the top 220 owners of that meme coin could have a special dinner with him and a private tour of the White House. The few of them get a private tour of the White House. And that promptly created so much trading that it created about $900,000 worth of profits to the traders. And of course, that would involve the Trump administration. So there is this real level of corruption and grift in the Trump administration that is also, I think, something that he's trying to make sure people look the other way rather than they're seeing. And of course, I'm not talking today, because this is a shorter one, about the different ways in which the Trump administration is losing favor with people around the country. But that's a really big deal right there. So what's happening with that? First of all, you're seeing this attempt among the Trump administration to distract people so they don't see the extension of the economy in such a way that it benefits the very wealthy and basically really badly hurts the vast majority of Americans. One of the things that I think is extremely...
Absolutely. It's just friggin' devastating the average person. So here's the deal. How they do it, you have to have a wallet. Wallet's like a friggin' cell phone, size of a cell phone. You spend $1, and you got to spend real money to buy Bitcoin, and that's stored on this digital wallet. So now, this WFI, if you want to invest there, well, guess what? Every 70 cents on every dollar goes to Trump after expenses to the corporation. And that's just the way it's right. Nobody knows, nobody sees how that works. It's just unfriggin' believable. Nobody gets it. But just, that's the way it is. So now, top 10 biggest holders of Bitcoin and what they're worth. Yes, where's that button not working? Okay. Bitcoin has a remarkable year in 2024. May 27, market capitalization of $2.17 trillion. Now, here's the deal. Like, this guy, Satoshi, he was the guy that came up with Bitcoin. He's the creator of Bitcoin. But the thing is, if he ever sold his holding, it friggin' caused the friggin' value to tank. And this is what people don't get. Like, it's just, the people at the top are the ones that are going to benefit, and the average Joe that's looking to make a quick buck, because this is just like gambling, just like going to the racetrack, just like going to the casino. It's just gambling, and everybody here that holds a big portion or a big credit position in these Bitcoins, a lot of them have been fined for nefarious tradings of sorts. It's just the way it is. Just the way it is, folks. It's just the way it is. Now, here's another thing here. Let's look at the Hill. Here you got Eric Trump and this other guy. He's an executive of WLFI, World Liberty Financial, Zach Witkoff. Now, last name Witkoff. Steve Witkoff, any relation to Steve Witkoff that's working for the president, that's part of the administration? You know, this gets deeper and deeper and deeper. So, World Financial, a crypto venture launched by Trump and his sons. And then there was a bit of a problem with the meme coin that created $50 billion of worth for Trump at the beginning. And then, like Heather Cox mentioned, it tanked after a number of months. And then you got a situation like you go back a bit and you go, well, Biden was a crime boss. Well, Biden's son took advantage of his dad's name and was on a board of directors of a Ukraine company, getting himself $50,000 a month. So maybe $600,000 a year, maybe for a year that it lasted or whatever the case may be. You know, $600,000. Now here you go. This guy Donald Trump, $50 billion off the top with the meme coin, and the meme coin is worth absolutely, well, maybe $11 a Bitcoin now, but it's really worth zilch. Once Trump gets rid of his holding of it, it's worth zilch. He gets the money. Everybody else, it tanks. And then there's a problem with wallets not being aligned with each. So crypto wallets, they won't work for the Trump meme coin. So where am I going with this? Well, the thing is, cryptocurrency is just a big gamble. And people want to just make a buck, an extra buck, but you're at the bottom of the food chain, and when things fall, you're the one that's going to get stung right at the bottom. So the company that came up with the meme coin for Trump, they're in a legal battle with World Liberty Financial. So those legal expenses are going to be paid out of the corporation, out of whoever bought tokens. That's coming out of your corporation's money. So that's the deal there. Long-term treasury. We share a bigger vision for crypto patriotism, long-term success. It's just a gamble, folks. That's all it is. This cryptocurrency is, you pay real money for it, and you're gambling to try to make money, and hopefully you can sell it for real money to get out, because if you don't, you're getting nothing. Here's a blockchain. What's a blockchain? Because a blockchain is how you hold the currency. Stuff can get hacked. The friggin' system gets hacked, you get beat. So, yeah, it's a virtual or digital asset, which means, it's an intangible asset, has no real value. It's bought with real money. And that's what Bitcoin is. That's what she is. And that's what it is. So, World Liberty Financial, this is the Donald Trump empire. Decentralized finance protocol cryptocurrency founded in 2024, as soon as he took over the presidency. Okay, so already it's been involved with multiple controversies. One Chinese billionaire, Justin's son invested $30 million in World Liberty, and subsequently his SEC investigation got dropped. Can you imagine that? And then a firm associated with Abu Dhabi invested $2 billion in 2025, still 2025, halfway point. $2 billion into World Liberty in 2025. Now, another thing you have to understand, there's two types of tokens, or a couple different types of tokens, and one's a stable cryptocurrency that's backed by the US dollar. And this is where it's getting really dangerous, and this is where David Sachs, that's the cryptocurrency czar of the White House, they're trying to legitimize cryptocurrency that's just really based on a friggin' digital asset. And this is how they're trying to legitimize it. And they're using the US dollar, which is the reserve currency of the world, to give it credibility. So this is the grift of all grifts. You've never seen anything like it. So anyway, September 2024, Trump announced his sons would enter the crypto marketplace with a new venture called World Liberty Financial, WLFI. Okay, so originally the company sold $2.7 million worth of WLFI, which abruptly changed and soared. It soared. It went through the roof once he won the presidential election. You can curry favors. It's pay to play with the United States now. People don't realize they're going on with their life. They say all politicians are corrupt. Meanwhile, there's a smidgen of truth to that, but the thing is, you're using that complacency in order to justify doing nothing when you're getting ripped off so bad you can't believe it. And that's the real sad reality, and that's where the American general public is. And unfortunately, they're the same people that Putin working with Trump, took the roadmap of how he was able to manipulate his people, because the demographics of the American Midwest are very similar to the Russian people that Putin's been manipulating for decades. So they take that roadmap and they start utilizing it, maybe 2014, 2015, starting to get revved up, and start working the American Midwest. So that's created a solidarity of support between these supporters of Donald Trump that just believe in this guy. They're the ones that are most abused by him, but they believe in him. And that's the dichotomy at play here. What a conundrum. So the ownership of this company, here it says, close connections to Trump. The Trump business entity owns 60% of World Liberty and is entitled to 75% of all revenue from coin sales. Can you believe it? So for every dollar that's paid for a Bitcoin, these guys take 75% of all revenue from all coin sales. Now, Eric Trump and Donald Trump Jr. are actively involved in the management of the company. And they rely on three partners, Zachary Folkman, Chase Hero, and Zach Wickoff. And I believe these three partners are the only three members that can vote within the company. So they really control this company. So the Trump family and its affiliates, this is where it really gets big, were given 22.5 billion units of the World Liberty coins. 22.5 billion units of World Liberty coins. For doing nothing but sitting on a couch and promoting Dad's business. President of the United States. The company has been described by the New York Times as eviscerating the boundary between private enterprise and government policy in a manner without precedent in modern American history. It beats the mob boss, Meyer Lansky, who worked for all the entities of the New York mob. He controlled Las Vegas, built up Las Vegas for all the mobsters. So now May 2025, MGX, an Abu Dhabi company from the royal family of Abu Dhabi, $2 billion worth of USD1 stablecoins. Now, these are backed by real US dollars. Now, if the Treasury of the United States, now you've got the... what the frig is the name of this bill they're trying to put through? There's a couple bills regarding cryptocurrencies. So they're actually creating where the U.S. Treasury is backing this friggin' crypto. And I forget the name of the bill. What's the name of the bill? Okay, so David Sachs is the guy doing it. They claim the stablecoin bill will unlock trillions for U.S. Treasury. Why is it going to unlock trillions? Just another investment vehicle? Why don't you just do U.S. Treasuries and use real dollars instead of this system that's being manipulated by grifters? Just saying, okay, yeah, it's the Genius Act. The Genius Act. And it's a Genius Act. Trump thinks he's a genius. So, Trump's top crypto and AI advisor, David Sachs, expects the stablecoin legislation to move through the Senate. We already have over 200 billion in stablecoins. It's just unregulated. So, something that has no legitimacy for the most part. A lot of it is money that's being laundered, money that's from the black market that's been moved around the world. This is how China and Russia get around all these sanctions and all these gangsters. They use these friggin' bitcoins, cryptocurrencies. So they're going to use the Genius Act to regulate stablecoins. What a con job. It's amazing. Unlike digital assets such as Bitcoin, which can trade wildly, stablecoins are a subset of cryptocurrencies whose value is tied to that of a real-world asset like the U.S. dollar. But like we know, and we see in 2008, how the wizards of Wall Street were going to crash the world markets. And here's another thing. Tether, which is banked by Cantor Fitzgerald. Now you better look closely at this. Cantor Fitzgerald. Who's Cantor Fitzgerald? Howard Lutnick, the Commerce Secretary of the United States of America. Howard Lutnick controls more than 60%. They bank more than 60% of the stablecoin market. Lutnick's laughing. He's freaking just profiting left, right, and center. That's why he's always grinning. Oh, my bank's bigger than your bank. That's why it doesn't matter about reciprocity. Vietnam, even if they took away tariffs, we don't care. We don't like the fact that maybe they're buying stuff from China, marking the price up and selling it to us. Meanwhile, Canada sells oil from Alberta to the U.S. U.S. refines it and sells it for a profit. It's okay if the U.S. does it. Nobody else can do it. So this is where the hypocrisy knows no limits. So that's where we're at there. Now let's move forward. Here we go. World Liberty Financial. Shape of a new era of finance. Be defiant. We're leading a financial revolution by dismantling the stranglehold of traditional financial institutions and putting the power back where it belongs, in your hands. Your hands? You're getting ripped off. 75 cents on every dollar is going into the hands of that Donald Trump right there, just so he can put his face on everything. And here's the fine print. You don't see that. Can't read that because it's by design. Okay, DT Marks, which is another limited liability corporation affiliated with Donald J. Trump, and certain of his family members own approximately 60% of the equity interests in WLF Holdco, another limited liability corporation. And so all these corporations are controlled by the Trump and their immediate family members. And then you use Delaware as a non-stock corporation to set up the corporation, which was Delaware, and this legislation was set up in 1899, which has got the best laws for corporations. That's where most of the big corporations use and register their corporations in Delaware. So anyways, WLF Holdco holds all the rights to net protocol revenues from the WLF protocol, other than net proceeds from the sale of as dollar WLFI tokens, pursuant to the terms of agreements with World Liberty Financial, Inc. None of Donald J. Trump and his families or any director or officer or employee is an officer or director of WLF Holdings, LLC. They got the Three Stooges to do that. Larry, Curly, and Moe. Three wise men. So, pursuant to a service agreement, Donald J. Trump holds 22.5 billion tokens. They were given to him. Just signed over to him. Here, Donald, 22.5 billion tokens. There you go. And you talk about friggin' 50,000 a month from Burisma going to Joe Biden's son. Like, come on now. You have not even seen grifting like this in the history of in the world. This is amazing. And nobody squeaks. And people still back this guy up. Like, it's unbelievable. So pursuant to a service agreement equal to 75% of dollar WLFI, World Liberty Financial, Inc., token sale proceeds. So 75%, it's right there. But you can't see it because it's so friggin' dark, and they make sure you can't see it. All they want you to see is shape a new era of finance. Be defiant. Get on the Trump train. Now, there's a reason why this guy's had 6 bankruptcies. The only guy in the world that I'm aware of that's bankrupt at a casino. Like, folks, you got to wake up some point in time. You got to wake up. See the writing on the wall. World Liberty Financial. Corporate governance. You know, they put this up here because they have to. And also, it hoodwinks you because you don't know what half of this stuff means. Election of directors. But anyways, they can do whatever they want. And with that money you invest, they can invest in whatever they want. They can slide the cream off the top whenever they want and give you a smidgen back. That's just like what they do with the big budget bill. We have $38,000 to the 0.1%. Meanwhile, the guy making less than 50 grand is going to have his taxes go up and pay more. But we're going to give him a kiss, and we're going to give him a kiss by making tips not taxable. You know, this is how you get hoodwinked. This is how you get screwed over. And you think nothing about it. So that's where we're at. That's where we're at. That's where we're going. Okay, so that's the deal. So Trump has taken a stranglehold in the United States Treasury. He's using it for his own purposes to grift. He's using it to build walls around the United States of America. And anybody that wants to participate with the United States of America has got to pay a price. Trump's going to collect something off the top, and he's going to make sure he benefits first and foremost. And that's just the way it is. So, questions, comments, throw in the comments section. Love and peace to everybody. Take care. Ciao for now. Bye-bye.